Shalom, I hope you all are doing well. I am blessed and I'm back again with a quick video. Today we're going to be talking about the letter Tav. It's the 22nd and final letter of the Hebrew alphabet. Tav symbolizes the end, fulfillment or completion of something, much like the finalization of Yah's divine plan. It has a gematria or numerical value of 400. 400 often represents a period of testing or transition, so this means that the letter Tav is directly connected to the promise and the prophecy in Genesis chapter 15, verses 13 through 14, where Yahuwah tells Abraham that his descendants will be strangers in a land that is not theirs, and will be enslaved for 400 years. And he said unto Abram, Know of a surety that your seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterward shall they come out with great substance. So in essence, the Tav as a symbol can represent the mark of deliverance or the end of bondage. Tav is also a sign of redemption or salvation, which connects to the eventual release of the Israelites, the so-called black people, from their 400 years in current captivity. The mark or seal of Yah is a concept rooted in Scripture, often contrasted with the mark of the beast in biblical prophecy. The seal of Yah represents divine ownership, protection, and sanctification of his people. What many people tend to look over is that the seal of Yah and the mark of the beast are opposing spiritual symbols in biblical prophecy, representing two different allegiances, one to the Most High and one to the beast system. The seal of Yah is the mark of divine protection, ownership, and righteousness placed upon the faithful followers of the Most High. Let's confirm this in Revelations chapter 7, starting at verse 1, and it reads, And after these things I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living Elohim, and he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels, to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, Hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our Elohim in their foreheads. This is the same seal that's also found in Revelations chapter 14 and verse 1, where the Most High places a seal on his chosen people to protect them from the coming judgment. Look at Yah's judgment in Revelations chapter 15 and 1, where it says, And I saw another sign in heaven, great and marvelous, 7 angels having the 7 last plagues, for in them is filled up the wrath of Elohim. As Yah continues to command the angels to pour his wrath upon the world, his chosen people will need his protection. Being sealed by Yahuwah means you're being set apart by the Most High. And this seal represents divine ownership, protection, and identity. What's very important to remember is that both marks are spiritual, the mark of Yahuwah as well as the mark of the beast. The seal in the forehead represents the mind, thoughts, and understanding. In Ezekiel chapter 9 and verse 4, it describes this seal. This is what Yah told the angel. It says, And Yahuwah said unto him, Go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh, and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. This mark was much like the protection that the Most High provided when he told the Israelites to put the blood on the doorpost in Egypt during Passover. So the men who cried and sighed for all the abominations done in Jerusalem, they were the righteous. They were the ones marked for protection because they were grieved by the sins of the people and refused to participate in wickedness. So in verse 4, the Most High told the angel to mark or to seal the foreheads of the men who sigh and cry for the abominations done in Jerusalem. So let's go to verse 5, where it says, "And to the others he said, in mine hearing, Go ye after him through the city, and smite, let not your eye spare neither, have ye pity." Verse 6, "Slay utterly old and young, both maids and little children and women. But come not near any man upon whom is the mark, and begin at my sanctuary." Then they began at the ancient men which were before the house. And he said unto them, Defile the house, and fill the courts with the slain. Go ye forth. And they went forth, and slew in the city. And it came to pass, while they were slaying them, and I was left, and I fell upon my face, and cried, and said, O Yahuwah Elohim, will thou destroy all the residue of Israel in thy pouring out of thy fury upon Jerusalem? Then he said unto me, The iniquity of the house of Israel and Judah is exceeding great, and the land is full of blood, and the city full of perverseness. For they say, Yahuwah had forsaken the earth, and Yahuwah see not. And as far as me also, mine eyes shall not spare, neither will I have pity, but I will recompense their way upon their head. And behold, the man clothed with linen, which had the inkhorn by his side, reported the matter, saying, I have done as thou hast commanded me. Ezekiel reveals that Yah places a spiritual mark of protection on those who stay faithful and mourn over sin. This is a foreshadowing of end-time events, where Yah will again separate his people from destruction. Back in Ezekiel's day, people had a choice to make then. Well, the same choice remains today. Are we willing to align with Yah's ways and receive his mark? Or will we choose to blend with this world and risk Yahuwah's judgment? Revelations chapter 14:1 clarifies that the seal is the Father's name, Yahuwah. This shows that those sealed have his laws, truth, and covenant written in their minds. As we all know, a contract is a legal agreement. In this context, it's a spiritual legal agreement, and it carries a deeper meaning than just legal agreement. While both contract and covenant involve binding commitments, a covenant is a sacred relationship, loyalty, and divine promises rather than just an exchange of goods and services. Let's take a look at covenant versus contract. A covenant is a divine or sacred agreement, while a contract is a legal business agreement. A contract is based on a relationship and faithfulness, while a contract is based on mutual benefit. A covenant often involves oaths and blood sacrifice, while a contract usually involves signatures or money. In a covenant, Yahuwah determines the terms, but in a contract, both parties negotiate terms. In a covenant, breaking it has spiritual consequences, but in a contract, breaking it has legal consequences. The Hebrew word for covenant is berith, meaning a binding agreement, often sealed by blood. Yah's covenants are not just legal, but are based on his promises and divine order. In the Noah covenant, Yahuwah promised to never flood the earth again and sealed it with the rainbow. In the Abrahamic covenant, Yah promised to make Abraham's descendants a great nation. It establishes Abraham and his descendants as Yah's chosen people, with land, inheritance, and divine blessings. In the Mosaic covenant, the Israelites received the Torah, or the law, agreeing to follow Yah's commandments. In the Davidic covenant, Yah promises that the Messiah will come from David's lineage. And in the new covenant, which is not really new, but just revised, Yahuwah says the law, or the Torah, will be written on the hearts of his people. So the covenant itself will not be new. The only thing that will be new is the place where Yahuwah will put the laws. He said that he will write them on our hearts. Now, why does Yah say he's going to put his law in our heart and not our minds? Because we really know that he's talking about our mind, right? The Bible often refers to the heart as the center of thought, decision-making, and emotion, which in modern understanding aligns more with the brain. This is because in ancient Hebrew thought, the heart was considered the seat of intellect, will, and moral character, not just emotions. A good example is Proverbs chapter 23 and verse 7, where it reads, "For as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. Eat and drink, said he to thee, but his heart is not with thee." Well, we know that the actual heart organ doesn't think, right? Rather, this has everything to do with our thought process and reasoning, our decision making and will. Let's take a look at the word levav. Levav is a Hebrew word for heart. It's sometimes pronounced levav and sometimes lev, which is a shorter form of the word. The meaning of levav is a metaphor for the mind, thoughts, and emotions, and is the center of human thought and spiritual life. In ancient times, the heart was thought to be the home of the will, reasons, and emotions. I apologize, family. I am still battling these allergies, so I'm going to get through this video. So the next example is found in Psalms 51 and 12. It says, "Create in me a clean heart, O Elohim, and put a new and steadfast spirit within me." And then we have Ezekiel chapter 36 and 26 that reads, "I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit into you." This is why now we can conclude without a doubt that we're in a psychological slavery and not a physical slavery as our ancestors were. You know, there's a wicked attack on our minds that won't allow us to see the Bible for what it really is, in which the whole entire Bible is about the Israelites going in and out of captivity due to their disobedience of not keeping the Most High's laws, statutes, and commandments. Let's go ahead and look at Deuteronomy chapter 6, verses 6 through 8. It reads, "And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walk by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou rise up. And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thy hand, and they shall be as frontlets between thine eyes." So again, the forehead represents the mindset and beliefs of a person. The Most High's commandments should be in our minds. Now, the Most High don't just tell us to think on his commandments, but he tells us to actually do them. So the Most High says that his law should be in our hearts, and this is in verse 6. But then in verse 8, he says to bind them for a sign upon thy hand. So then what does that mean? Well, the hand is simple. It's to act according to how you think. So we're not just to think on the commandments, we are to also do the commandments. Now remember, we're going to get to this parallel where the seal of Yah is obedience to his laws, while the mark of the beast is rebellion against his laws. I want you all to understand today that they have you looking in the wrong direction for the mark of the beast. The mark of the beast is not the RFID chip in totality. However, the chip does fall under the beast system because it's just that, a system of the beast. Being marked by the beast means that you're going with the system of things in this world that goes against the Most High's laws, statutes, and commandments. Let's take a look at the fourth commandment, in which is a sign between Yah and his people.
Shabbat Shalom, Yisrael, and Gentiles grafted in. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. All right, so I'm going to go through our scripture talking about the original Sabbath day, which is Saturday, not Sunday. If you're going to church on Sunday, that is sun worship, and you're worshiping the sun God, which is Jesus, the answer Messiah. Yahusha is the true Messiah, and he kept the Sabbath. I can show you that in scripture as well. But in the beginning, the Father set this day apart. Remember, he made the heavens and earth in 6 days, and then on the seventh day, he rested and made this a law, made this a set-apart day and a law forever. So when the Father says this is a law forever and tells us to set this day apart, you better set this day apart, because this is a sign to him. This is how he knows you. If you don't keep the law, statutes, and commandments, he doesn't know you. But I'm going to get to that in Exodus 31, verse 12 through 18. Praise Yah. Okay, so we're going to Shemot, which is Hebrew for Exodus. Shemot 31, verse 12 through 18. And it says, "And Yah spoke to Moshe, which is Moses, and you speak to the children of Israel, saying, My Sabbaths you are to guard, by all means, for it is a sign between me and you, throughout your generations, to know that I, Yah, am setting you apart." Okay, and you hear that? The Father told us to guard this day. When you hear guard, it has a different meaning to it. Not just remember this day. If you just remember this day, you're going to do whatever. But when he says guard this day, he said guard his law, statutes, and commandments. You're going to do your utmost to keep this day set apart and to not do any work on it. Okay, next verse, 14. And it says, "And you shall guard the Sabbath, for it is set apart to you. Everyone who profanes it shall certainly be put to death." You hear this? "For anyone who does work on it, that being shall be cut off from among his people. 6 days' work is done, and on the seventh is a Sabbath of rest, set apart to Yah. Everyone doing work on the Sabbath day shall certainly be put to death." Okay, in the Old Testament, it was a physical death if you didn't keep the Sabbath. But in the New Testament, it is a spiritual death if you don't keep the Sabbath. Okay, 16. "And the children of Israel shall guard the Sabbath, to observe the Sabbath throughout their generations, as an everlasting covenant. Between me and the children of Israel, it is a sign forever." You know what forever means? "For in 6 days Yah made the heavens and the earth, and on the seventh day he rested and was refreshed. And when he had ended speaking with him on Mount Sinai, he gave Moshe 2 tablets of the witness, tablets of stone, written with the finger of Elohim." Praise Yah. Praise Yah. This is a law forever. We keep this day set apart. Keep this day set apart.
In Exodus chapter 24, verses 6 through 8, Moses sprinkles blood over the Israelites to seal their covenant with Yahuwah. "And Moses took half of the blood and put it in basins, and half of the blood he sprinkled on the altar. And he took the book of the covenant and read it in the audience of the people. And they said, All that Yahuwah had said will we do, and be obedient. And Moses took the blood and sprinkled it on the people, and said, Behold the blood of the covenant, which Yahuwah had made with you concerning all these words." You see, family, this is the blood covenant that the Israelites made with the Most High. And it was a binding covenant forever. So this was a blood covenant that the Most High made with the Israelites forever. You see, Yahuwah always seals his agreements with blood, and this pattern runs throughout the scriptures from the time of animal sacrifices to the time that Yahusha shed his blood on the tree for his people. The blood covenant requires faith and obedience, meaning we have faith in the Hamashiach, but we're also obedient to Yahuwah's laws, statutes, and commandments. The Most High always seals his agreements with blood, and this pattern runs throughout the scriptures from the time of animal sacrifices to the time that he shed his blood on the tree. Now, within these laws is the 4th commandment that says, remember the Shabbat to keep it holy. I've done past videos showing you guys that the Shabbat is a sign between Yahuwah and his people. Exodus 31:13 says, "Speak thou also unto the children of Israel, saying, Verily my Sabbaths ye shall keep, for it is a sign," it is a tav, a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that ye may know that I am Yahuwah, that do sanctify or set you apart. Okay, so let's quickly take a look at the Hebrew word for sign. The Hebrew word at is a feminine noun that means sign, signal, or distinguishing mark. It can also refer to a banner, remembrance, omen, warning, token, ensign, standard miracle, or proof. So referencing some of the definitions from here, the Hebrew word at, the Shabbat is a spiritual identification showing who belongs to Yahuwah. It is a sign between him and his people. It distinguishes us apart from the rest of the world. It's proof that we are spiritually marked by Yah as his set apart people. The sign, the mark, and the seal in the forehead is symbolic to one's beliefs, their wisdom, and their commitment to the Most High's laws in the scriptures. The forehead represents the mind, thoughts, and understanding of an individual. It is a place of spiritual identity where one's devotion to the Most High is either sealed by righteousness or corrupted by disobedience. In Deuteronomy chapter 6, the Most High, at the end here, he talks about us binding his laws as a sign on your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. So that's our hand and our foreheads, right? So we already talked about the forehead. So what about the hands? What does that mean? So the hand is much easier to explain than the forehead, because the hand represents actions, works, and deeds. Basically how a person lives out Yah's commandments in their daily life. So this is the end of my message here, and I want to challenge you with this final test of who do you serve? Now, Yah's mark is keeping his Torah or his commandments and his Sabbath, which is the seventh day from Friday sundown to Saturday sundown. And these are pagan names, Friday and Saturday, because Yahuwah never put names on the days of the week. So on the sixth day, when the sun goes down, it ushers in the seventh day of the week. And then the seventh day ends at sundown. Using the pagan names so that you would understand better, this would be Friday at sundown. It would usher in the seventh day, which is Saturday, until sundown. The Christian religion has everyone believing that they're waiting to be marked by the beast, that they're waiting on a chip, when in fact, you're already serving the beast system by going to Sunday worship and by going against Yah's law, statutes, and commandments. Who do you serve? Based on the information that was given today, who are you marked by? Are you marked by Yah, or are you marked by the beast system? Now, before I let you go, let me show you both marks, Yah's mark and Satan's mark. Yah's mark is his laws in the forehead, in the mind. Satan's mark is the same. It's in the forehead, in the mind. Yah's mark is obedience to Yah, and it's in our hand because it's in our actions. So is Satan's. Obedience to the beast system is in the hand, your actions. It's nothing to do with a chip in your hand. Yah's mark is keeping the Shabbat, and the beast system is Sunday worship and anything outside of seventh-day Sabbath worship. The mark of Yahuwah is worshiping him, the Most High, Yahuwah, while Satan's mark is worshiping the beast, worshiping Hashatan. Yah's mark is marked by righteousness, keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments, while the beast system is marked by lawlessness. The mark of the beast is just everything opposite from the mark of Yahuwah. I want you to pay attention to this. I have highlighted here in red where it says obedience to the beast in the hand, the actions. And then you look over to Yah, his section here that says Yah's mark, and it's obedience to Yah in the hand, actions. Now, we already read about this in Deuteronomy chapter 6, verses 6 through 8. So we know that the Most High is talking about keeping his commandments, thinking on them, and doing them. Yah commanded us to bind his laws, statutes, and commandments as a sign in our foreheads and in our hand. Whereas you can see here in contrast, Satan actually mirrors this very same commandment from Yah. Now, when people want to argue about the RFID chip, they say go to Revelations chapter 13, so that's what we're going to do. Christianity teach that this is the RFID chip and you won't be able to buy or sell, that this is the mark of the beast. So let's read it. It says, "And he calls all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name." Now I'm going to tell you this again. This mirrors Yah's law in Deuteronomy chapter 6, verses 6 through 8, where Yah's people are sealed in their hands and their foreheads. So now you're wondering, well then what about the buying and selling? This means that the beast system will control the global economy, enforcing its rules through financial restrictions. You can't trade without the mark. Digital currency and control. A system where the government controls all transactions. This will also happen through religious enforcement. Those who refuse the mark will be cut off economically. This has happened before in the time of Maccabees. The Israelites were forced to worship Greek gods or face death. That's in 1 Maccabees chapter 1, verses 41 through 50. In Rome, people had to worship the emperor to participate in the economy. In modern times, religious persecution is increasing and digital financial control is becoming a reality. So just like Yah seals his people with his law, the beast marks its people with lawlessness and rebellion. So let me show you this again before I go. It's Yah's seal on the forehead, which is his laws, his name, and his Shabbats. Your hand is your actions in obedience to Yah. The beast system mirrors it with the forehead and acceptance of the beast's false worship system, and the hand, which is the actions in compliance with the beast's system or his rules. So when this really comes into full force, the mark of the beast will be a test of obedience. Are you going to worship Yah or submit to the beast? It's going to be heavily tied into economic control, in which means no buying or selling without compliance to the beast. It's going to be spiritual and physical. It's going to affect both faith and everyday life. If you take a look at the state of the world today, I'd say that it's already being set up for a system where obedience to man's laws is prioritized over Yah's laws. So Revelations chapter 13, verse 17, saying, "And no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark," this mirrors ancient systems. In case you didn't know, the world is already setting up an economic system where obedience to man determines financial survival. So yes, the RFID chip does have something to do with it because it's linked to the potential role in economic control, surveillancing, and forced compliance. But the mark of the beast is ultimately spiritual. So technology like the RFID, implants, and digital currency does serve as a tool for enforcing the beast system. Stay vigilant, family. Keeping Yahuwah's laws, statutes, and commandments. This is what's going to protect us in these last days as darkness covers this world. Let the Christian church tell it and the world tell it. The beast system or the mark of the beast is the RFID chip, and that's it. The world is telling us to look this way when the truth is really that way. It's not the RFID chip, family. The mark of the beast is spiritual, just like the mark of Yahuwah. This concludes my message, family. May Yahuwah bless you and keep you safe in this hour. I usually leave you with Matthew chapter 24 and verse 13. He that endures until the end shall be saved. But today I want to leave you also with 2 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 11. Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. Thank you for listening, family, and thank you for all of your support. And until my next video, Shalom.